Maybe is the worst answer you can get from a prospect or a lead in a sales kind of situation, right? No, no is better than maybe. In sales, you want to be either a yes or a no. Maybe is really not an option. And this is the most confusing answer you can get. And when I say maybe, maybe as an answer, is all these answers that fall into that category of let me get back to you in 2 weeks, let me talk to my wife, let me talk to my business partner. This is great. Can you send me the proposal? We'll talk about proposals in another episode. All those things are not a no, they're not a yes. Yes, there will be a fraction, a percentage of an actual, hey, I need to sleep on this, I need to think about this, I need to talk to my team on how to implement these things. Like there are those moments as well. But if you're getting a maybe, you have to push for the actual answer. And I'm not saying you have to be aggressive in it, and there's a time and place to push, so you have to decide when to do it. But what I'm saying is that if you are getting a maybe, you're really not getting the answer you want. It's really hard to get back and refresh that conversation from a maybe. And typically, like I would say, I don't have statistics for it, but gut feeling says 95% of the time when someone says maybe, they will say no eventually, or they will ghost you. So when I'm hearing a maybe type of response in my sales conversation, on my sales call, I always ask and push for an actual answer. When people say, let me think about it, I say, well, let me help clarify the things that seem to still not be clear. What is unclear that you need to think about? Or I would ask them, like, what is it that you need to think about? Was there anything unclear? When they tell me, hey, can you send me a link to a sales page? I would tell them, literally, I would say, I am your sales page. I'm here to give you all the answers to any questions that you have. What's the question? Right? So you want to have the clarity of the situation instead of vagueness. If someone is giving you a vague answer or maybe, I would automatically categorize that as a no. Because again, it's really hard to kind of bring people back from that mindset. If you're getting a lot of maybes, you would have to then follow up with them, re-engage them, make them warm again, and spend more time on talking to that client or prospect. So the idea again is to try as much as you can. And again, it's not about being aggressive. It's just try to get the answer or get to the bottom of the reason why someone says or responds to you with a maybe, to understand what is behind it, and then you can head on kill the objections, challenge those questions or answer those questions. It's where you can provide more context to what you're supposed to deliver and stuff like that. And the problem with sending a link, for example, to your website, to a sales page, is that you cannot really control the questions and the story your prospects or your visitors will have in their heads about what they read. So all the heavy lifting is all of a sudden on the copy, the quality of the copy, the angles that you have taken, the challenges that you have kind of highlighted, instead of actually solving the problem for the client or for the prospect, right? So you know how when you create a sales page, you will take a specific stance on a challenge that your product, your service is fixing, right? So you'll have a specific angle of how you position it. If that angle doesn't match with the need or the challenges that prospect actually has, then you completely lost them, right? So my preference, again, is instead of sending them the link to a sales page, and for the most part, I don't have sales pages. I don't have offers summarized in a sense of a sales page. I do have offer docs that basically tell you technically from a kind of timeline perspective, what's going to happen and what the offer delivers. But the whole selling psychology happens on the call, not on the in the offer doc, right? So when someone asks me for a link to a sales page, again, I say, hey, it sounds like you have more questions, or you need, more context to why this is a fit or not. And if you have a few more minutes, let's have a conversation about it, because I want you to make an educated decision. And the best way for you to get that educated decision is to talk to me, because I'm the one who actually builds this thing. So if I send you a link, then that doesn't give you much benefit, because it's limited to whatever is on the page. Whereas I can provide you with the context and answer any challenges or any questions you may have, and help you understand how this might be a good fit or not, right? And so on the sales call, again, I'm trying to always go that direction of getting either a yes, this is a good fit, or a no, this is not a good fit. And it's either from my perspective or the prospect's perspective, or both perspectives, right? If they think I'm not a good fit, then okay, well, I don't want to pressure them into thinking, the other way around, unless they misunderstood what the offer is about. Then obviously I can say, hey, listen, that's not how it works, and then I can clarify those things. But if they think they cannot afford, $30,000 a service, I'm not gonna, force them to use their friend's credit card to pay for my service. That's insane, right? So we're always trying to get to that point of, is this a good fit or not, instead of, oh, maybe it's a fit or maybe it's not. Because again, it's just kind of like chasing them afterwards and putting a pressure on it, and I'm just following up, all that stuff, really, really hard to deliver.